What is going on, everybody? This is your host of the Colin Thompson Show. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. We are coming to you live here from training camp. At least I am, August 7th, 2020. Jack and Justin were here last week, which was so cool for us here at Not For Long Media, like I said. And I echo those remarks again this week. It was such an awesome thing having these two guys down. They were true professionals. They made some awesome content. We've been displaying some of it this past week. On Not For Long Media, on our channels of the Colin Thompson Show, on my personal profiles as well. So just an awesome job by you two. First off, thank you guys for being here. We have more episodes to come with great Panther players, more fun and funny stories to come out of it. Again, can't thank you two for coming down enough. I always bury the lead and I forget to talk about who we have coming on this week. We have your Commanders quarterback, the Washington Commanders quarterback, Taylor Heinicke, joining us this week. So we're really excited to have Taylor on. Him and I are both XFL alumni. He barely played, if he played at all. I don't think he played at all in the XFL. And he came on the show a couple of weeks ago, pre-camp. These two gentlemen joined me as well in the interview. So I figured we'd have Justin and Jack back in the house today to talk a little bit about the Taylor Heinicke interview. But before we do, I want to talk about our friends over the Original Fudge Kitchen. We did some awesome stuff in front of Fudge Kitchen. So shout out to our team, Jay, Brad, and Rossi that were there down at the Jersey Shore, doing the big J journalism, the tough questions. I thought the questions were a little easy, Jack and Justin. I'll be honest. We were giving away money, $1 for easy questions, $5 for, a harder question, $20. So, next time I'm going to challenge our team to maybe pump out a little bit harder question. And I'll say this, our fans around the Original Fudge Kitchen, Jersey Shore, are really smart football fans. So I think we underestimated, but we don't underestimate the fudge and sweet treats at the Original Fudge Kitchen. They ship fudge and sweet treats across the country, fudgekitchens.com. They're the best in the business. It is unbelievable, especially to ship it. The quality, it lasts forever, weeks, and how creamy and just savory the flavors are. So check out our friends at fudgekitchens.com. They ship it across the country. I'm going to surprise the tight ends. Some of them may be in here right now. We have a couple of viewers right now with some fudge here at the end of training camp and the rest of our team down here with some fudge. So there's nothing better to gift somebody than Original Fudge Kitchen fudge, fudgekitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. All right, so I'm going to send it over to Justin first. Justin, you are a Washington Commanders supporter. You're a Colts fan. You touch a lot of different fan bases, which I respect. Some people don't respect that. Some people say you got to be from. That's Jack just rips his water and the audio explodes. Thank you, Jack. Very professional of you. So, you touch a lot of fan bases. You're like a BYU fan. You're an Oklahoma fan. You're like a local guy, a Maryland Terps fan. So, talk to me how talk to me about your fandom, what level it's at for the Washington Commanders, or you're just a giant Taylor Heinicke fan.
So I'll be honest. You're right. I'm Colts are my number one, and I do get a lot of crap from people that when I tell them all the teams I'm supporter, because I have my number one's the Colts, and I'll support the Commanders, and I'll support the Ravens to a certain extent. My BFF John Harbaugh. But if I had to power rank them football wise, it'd probably be Colts, then Commanders number two. Being in the DMV area, watching local Fox 45 or whatever, you get to watch a lot of Commanders games. So I've been fortunate enough to do that. So that's kind of how it started, was just, growing up watching them on TV. But yeah, it's that's a fan base that hasn't had a lot to cheer for in recent years. So I do try to, I want to pick my spots, and I don't want to be just like a fair weather guy. I want to be in there when they're losing. I want to be in there when they're winning. But you're right. Taylor Heinicke, our guest this week. I watched that playoff game when he almost beat Tom Brady, and I was like, this is my guy. I had heard of him in the XFL, being an XFL guy. Shout out St. Louis Battlehawks. So yeah, it's just that's why I really wanted to have him on this podcast, because I knew that you guys would connect instantly over your shared journey of the XFL to the NFL, just grinding. So yeah, really lucky to have him on this week.
Yeah, it was great having him on. He's an awesome guy. We had him on for a full hour, and he kept it loose. He kept it light. Jack, what'd you like about the interview?
I thought, like you said, he was very genuine. He kept a lot, he seemed like a lot of these guys, all of our football guests have been great, but like you kind of mentioned before on your other episodes and stuff, like guys can be very PR when it comes to things and they stay within their bounds. Taylor, I mean, he's great. He's just natural at it. He's just naturally funny. He's just a good talker. I mean, some of the stories that he shared that some people probably haven't heard before that we talk about that I won't disclose until the show is released about Minnesota, New England, his time in Washington. I mean, it's just the stories he had were truly incredible. And I could definitely see a career for him in this industry if he wants it after his
Oh, for
football
sure. He's got a great story. It's a great point by you, Jack. He's got a great story. You know, he's got paid in this league too for like crazy, like from where he was to where he went to now starting in a playoff game to, you know, going through all the ranks with Minnesota. We go through his whole career, which is pretty cool. Again, we had him for a full hour, which is really fun for us. Shout out to our friends over at Som Sleep, guys. I wonder if Taylor uses Som Sleep because this is a product that I absolutely swear by. There's a lot of products out there in the world that we, you know, have handed to us as professional athletes. Hey, give it a try, give it a try, give it a try. This is the greatest thing I've ever put my hands on, especially when it comes to sleep. And that's no BS. Like I sleep like a rock. I have no grogginess in the morning. It's changed my life professionally. It's helped me become a better athlete, better person. I go to bed earlier. I wake up more spry. I just feel better. Get some sleep. Use promo code Colin or any of the promo codes that all of our podcasts have. Our whole media network have their own separate ones. So use promo code Colin or BATS or BWF for Bourbon with Friends or G's for our G's, whatever that may be. But check out our friends at Get Some Sleep. It is the best product, all natural, easy to bed, rise in the morning, not groggy. It's the best sleep product on the market, best I've ever touched. They throw everything at us, trust me, guys. So check out our friends at Get Some Sleep. Okay, so there's lots to talk about here. Jack, that's something to bring up about these Guardian caps that we're wearing for training camp practices.
So there's been a lot of talk across the league, fans. The introduction of Guardian caps being mandatory for interior players starting this training camp. There's been a lot of controversy. Some players have been very out of, we don't like this. It just messes up practice. Some players are just very, like, doesn't matter to them in the slightest. At the end of the day, I think it's great for the NFL, helps reduce concussions. To me, it doesn't seem like it affects much. That's why I was curious for your Con. What is your opinion having to use the Guardian caps at practice every day? Are you pro, anti? What is your stance on the Guardian cap?
I am 100% pro Guardian cap. In the world we live in today, where there's more science, there's more knowledge, you know, sadly, a player passes away and they use their brain to see, you know, what's maybe going on in there. And you're seeing a lot of CTE, right? It's no surprise. I signed up for this game. I know the risk with this game. So anything to protect us, especially in practice for the little bump, the little knock, you know, sometimes a little goes a long way with the concussion and the head stuff. So to avoid the little bump or, you know, when you bump heads with a teammate and you don't really mean to, or whatever that may be, whether it's the most violent training camp practice or it's an in-season practice, you're going through a drill and maybe something just goes a little awry. Now you're protected even more. And okay, it looks a little goofy for a picture, but at the end of the day, I'll be wearing it all season long in practice. And that's an option. I think they come off after the second preseason game for guys, but I think it's a fantastic thing that the NFL has done. I think the NFL does a great job of listening to what's going on, seeing data constantly evolving. Okay, we know there's an issue, not an issue, but we know that there's injury risk in this game. All the players sign up for it, 100% injury rate. But here's a great way to protect our players a little bit more. If it gets it 10%, 20%, 30% better, I think every player would say, sure, let me wear it. Because I don't notice it in practice. I don't feel the difference. I enjoy it. So, and really talking to a lot of guys on the team, they enjoy it too. I haven't heard really anybody complaining about it in our organization. So it's a great point by you, Jack. Justin, you know, you're involved in a lot of baseball stuff with Breaking Bats, our other podcast with Brian O'Grady. What are some of the issues that you see in baseball health-wise? Like guys get hit in the head, guys get hit in the face. You know, could you see, has baseball adapted some of their helmets over the years? I think they have.
I mean, there are a lot of guys that have definitely moved to like the more expanded guard around the mouth area. I think Giancarlo Stanton was the first one when he got hit in the, like, it busted his face up. So now guys kind of have that shield that kind of covers most of their face. I think back also when you're talking about that, some pitchers, like they've worn the baseball caps themselves that kind of look goofy, but they have a little more padding in them. I'm not sure if anybody still actively wears those, but that was a conversation a couple years ago when somebody got hit in the head, and then he came back whenever it was, and he had a padded hat that looked like twice the size of a regular baseball hat. So I don't know what kind of the momentum is on that, but you touched on the only question I would have with the Guardian hat is like if it affects like your running, like do you feel it like heavier or anything? But it sounds like it doesn't even notice it at all.
I don't. It's amazing the technology on them. I know they've evolved a lot over time. I think we had them at Temple at one point in time, and they were a lot. Again, this is 2015, 16, probably we had them. And it's a long, it's 6-7 years ago at this point in time. So, I think they've evolved a lot. And I love it. Jack, you played youth football. You played high school football. Do you wish you had something like this while you were playing?
Yeah, definitely. Like I was mentioning before, I mean, we've had a lot of like my teammates would go out and get their own like running backs and stuff like that. And they were big for, I mean, these are kids that had a lot of concussions growing up. And there was definitely a difference when they started wearing them in practice during 2 days and stuff that they really didn't have any more head injuries. And you're starting to see a lot more nowadays, even the 7-on-7s. The kids, they look like leather helmets almost, but they're just like a Guardian cap that you just wear by itself during 7-on-7s and just open air stuff. And I think those have been a massive help as well. Cause I mean, you're wearing no pads or anything during that stuff during the springtime. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for this sort of stuff. I definitely think I wish I could have prevented a few concussions during my time for some of these.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think I've had more in practice than I've had in games. And we practice a lot in this game. And I haven't had a ton of concussions in my career. But in this game of football, like I said, it's not, we practice so much and we play 17 times a year. So it's so unique in that aspect where other sports, basketball, you're playing 82 games, hockey, you're playing 82 games. Practice is a different thing. There's a lot of lifting. There's a lot of, if you're a jump shooter, you're shooting foul shots. It's like a lot of technical work. Football is an orchestrated event where you need, a lot of humans. That's another thing with the NFL that I was shocked when I got here is how just the minimum amount of people it takes to run a football team when it comes to players we have. Now they've expanded the practice squads, which is awesome. I think they should continue to do that and get it as close as they can get it to 20 as possible. And not just pay, you need more players to practice against, yeah, of course, but you have more volume, you have more numbers, more players get paid. I get that. That's an expense that someone's got to pay for, but it allows, players to continue to grind. It allows some sort of a little bit of a farm system and allows players to be healthier. So, I think the NFL's done a great job, over the years. Obviously, we added a game, more risk, but the game has gotten healthier. I always tell that when I talk to parents, because parents ask me, my little Johnny's not going to play this year and that's okay. They got to really love football to play it. But I personally think that the game is way, way safer than it's ever been. Not too long ago when I was playing youth football, we had to earn our water breaks, maybe 1, 2 a practice. Right now I have, unlimited water opportunities. So it's a different, it's just a different game. It's a great game. It's a safe game. Talk about a safe game. We're bringing back some old friends here, Not For Long Media, Wealth Advisory Services. If you don't know them, you should. Check out our friends, wealthadvisoryservices.com, located in Cape May, Jersey, all the way up to Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They really are, have a ton of popularity, a ton of clients in the tri-state area, but they work with people across the country, which I think is fascinating. Paul, Dave, and their team, over 100 years of experience of just independent wealth management from the, beginning investor who doesn't have a ton of money, strategies moving forward to someone who's looking at the back half of maybe retirement, what's ahead, estate planning, tax conversations. I've had them all with Paul and their team. I'm very lucky to have them in my corner here, someone to bounce a lot of things off of, especially with the market the way it is today and how the world of finances is ever changing. Wealth Advisory Services, if you don't know them, you should. If you want to get in contact with them, hit up their website or just reach out to me and our site here at Not For Long Media, and we'll put you in touch with Paul, Dave, and their team at wealthadvisoryservices.com. Okay. Listen, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I've been fighting it, but I think it's time to start doing some ratings, start ranking things. Everybody ranks things. I shy away from it in football because I don't want to rank players across the league. I don't want to rank these different things because I have a lot of great teammates and I think they deserve to be on a lot of lists and I don't want to upset anybody. So when it comes to rankings, it's a little harder for me to sit here and say, hey, I'm going to rank these tight ends or rank these quarterbacks because they're great. They create conversation, but I don't think they're all fact, obviously. Right. So we are going to be ranking a lot of fun things here at Not For Long Media. And we're going to be doing it across our family, across our platform. So our 4 active podcasts right now, Bourbon with Friends, Geez, Breaking Bats, and the Colin Thompson Show, we'll be ranking every week a top 5 of a fun thing. Justin and Brian do a great job, ranking all these type of things when it comes to baseball. I was ready to run a couple off, Justin, but you guys do a ton now. What are some of the fun things you guys done ranking wise?
I mean, my favorite is top 5 guys you'd want to have your back during a fight. That was my favorite. We just picked a combination of the biggest dudes and also ones that are kind of a little unhinged when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we did that. We
Aaron
do
Judge, Stanton, your boy, what's his name? Vogelbach.
I had Dan in mind. Yeah. I had Adam Frazier. He's 5'10", 190, but
Brian O'Grady. I put Brian in mind. You guys left Brian out. You should have had Brian in your list. Now, I know he's not in the MLB, but Brian should be on your list. I know Brian. Brian and I actually got in a little tussle back in our day in basketball days together. So, yeah, Brian's a tough dude.
Who won?
We never, nothing. It wasn't anything big. It was I was the freshman, sophomore, trying to be physical, and Brian didn't like that. And I probably was a little out of place. I probably was. We got to talk about it. We'll have it on and talk about it. But yeah. Brian's I was very scared, but Brian had biceps popping out, of the womb. He's just a jack dude. Sorry, Justin, what else are you guys ranking your top 5?
I mean, we've done top 5 some cool nerdy baseball ones, top 5 non-all-stars you'd want to build your team around. Top 5 starting pitchers you want on the bump during a winner take all game. Just we try to vary it a little bit. And then we've even done baseball movies and some of stuff around baseball, but it's cool that we're expanding that out and doing some more fun stuff with this show and all the other ones.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely killing it. Again, baseball fans out there, Philly fans, your Phillies are hot right now. I'm loving it. NL East is hot other than your Washington Nationals, but neither here nor there. Sorry, Justin. Great trade the other day, by the way.
Oh, come on.
What do you think about the trade, Juan Soto? I know we're dipping into your side of the tracks here a little bit, but what do you think about that?
So I went through all the stages of grief. And now I think I'm just at acceptance at this point. He turned down $440 million from the Nationals, and with the ownership situation being kind of up in the air and them not being sure who's going to own the team next year, if he wasn't going to take 440, I don't know if they really wanted to go over that. So, and personally, I just don't think any player is worth $500 million. I'd much rather have. It's like what the Nationals did when they didn't sign Harper. They went out and they got Patrick Corbin. They got all these other guys with the same exact money. So I'm more along the lines of that mindset. The 5 prospects and Luke Voigt they got back are all very, very good. So, it may seem a little lopsided now, but give it 3 or 4 years, and then the Nats will be back. 2025 World Series champions.
I'll say this. I just love people with strategies, right? Everyone wants Soto, you lose them. Yes, detrimental. Yes, there's no salary cap. I get it. But they have a strategy. I wish the Flyers had one. Tottenham, big win the other day, baby. They have a strategy, right? We had Nicky Pumpkin on last week. Hope you guys enjoyed that. He talked a lot about the Premier League and the different things that come with that. But if you have a strategy okay, listen, we're going to get rid of our, the best player in baseball, one of the best players in baseball. We're going to get a ransom back and restart our franchise, take the 550, divvy it up, sign some new players at an affordable rate that are still all-stars, and they end up winning it that year when they traded for Harper, like you said. So, or when they traded or didn't re-sign Harper, I should say. The Phillies did, which has been great. He's been a great Philly. Obviously, he's hurt. But, yeah, Phillies are going to be scary when he gets back, and I think he will come back. I think he will. So that's neither here nor there. Okay, folks, back to your regular scheduled programming. We talked a little baseball. We talked a little Hotspur Premier League. Again, if you're a Premier League fan listening to this and you didn't get the chance to listen to Nick Pumpkin last week, he was unreal. A buddy of mine just absolutely killed it, just breaking down the Premier League. Every team really just did a great job. Okay, this week we're going to be rating wings. Flavors, you like your wings. How you like your wings done. So Justin's going to narrate this. Justin, you're going to ask Jack for his top 5 first, then me.
All right. This is a big deal. When you go out and you get wings with the fellas, You don't want to go get like the lowest on the Buffalo Wild Wings wing flavor chart. Like you don't want to be the guy that gets like I don't even know what the lowest would be. You don't want to be the guy that picks up sweet barbecue. You want to get some wings with some taste, with some charisma. So that's why we're gonna go to Jack Connell first for your top 5. Give me 5, then go up to 1.
All right. So coming at 5 is just a traditional dry rub hot wing. So, just a nice little dry rub with a nice fried wing, crispy, not real a lot of sauce to it. Keep your hands clean. That is my 5th. Coming at number 4, lemon pepper. Just a nice traditional lemon pepper wing. Again, just keeping it simple. Exactly like the dry rub, just crispy on the fryer. I told you coming in, Colin, this is going to be a little bit controversial. Number 3, I have the hot wing. Just traditional, basic, hot, like whatever, like the 8 out of 10 type hotness scale. Number 2, I have garlic parm. Can't go wrong with garlic parm. And number 1, I have mild. I'm a mild guy. Again, I'm not traditional with these. I love all of these go blue cheese, by the way. I am blue cheese ride or die when it comes to my wings. So that is my top 5 wing flavors.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I believe I'm up here, Justin, since you will be giving yours this week on the Breaking Bats episode. Again, check it out. Breaking Bats, awesome baseball podcast with Brian O'Grady and Justin Ayers. Okay, so for me, first off, Jack, how do you have hot and mild on the same list? I'll never understand that. You're just feeling spicy that day, and then you go for a hot wing. So to me, number 5, we're going to go with the hot wing. Love a hot wing. Absolutely love it. Again, these top 5 for me, I'm all in on. Like, these are the ones I eat all the time. So let me switch that. I'm going to go 5 garlic parm, 4 hot wing, 3 barbecue, 2 teriyaki, and 1 honey Old Bay. The best wing I've ever had. So the teriyaki wings at the Seaview Inn in Cape May, New Jersey, which were the bar of the week for us a couple weeks ago, the best in the world. The honey Old Bay wings, Chop Tank, which is in Baltimore, now in Annapolis, unreal. Check those out. So that's my top 5. That's my top 5. J.A., any thoughts?
I'd lean Colin on this one. The Old Bay wings that he brought up as number 1, like those. If you see those on a menu, you get those. I don't know what it is about them. It's just the flavors just go so well together. Traditionally, I'm not a big like burn your mouth off wing guy. I do kind of fall towards the middle of the scale there for looking at the flavor chart, but mix it up every now and again. Maybe get something a little hot, but yeah, I big Old Bay guy. So a little preview of mine to this week.
I think that's just an Annapolis thing, because I would definitely try that. I have never heard of a honey Old Bay wing before in my life. It sounds very good. It's just, this is the first time Colin said is the first time I've ever heard of it. So that's got to be an
big
Annapolis
deal down here. Yeah,
type thing.
They're a big deal down here. Well, down up there where JA is, but where we live now in Annapolis, Maryland, it's fantastic. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Honey Old Bay. Now I love a dry rub wing too, Jack. Fantastic. I didn't really know how to categorize that. It's still a wing, of course, but it's a hot, like Mesquite Grill in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Mosquito Grill, unbelievable freaking dry rub wings, like unreal hot. They're really good.
Yeah.
Up for bar, they could be a bar week at one point.
Are you guys blue cheese or ranch guys?
Blue cheese only. If you're a ranch person, I'm out. Which Jay is a ranch guy, so I'm out on you, Jay.
I'm not a ranch guy.
I saw you kind of twitch your face.
I don't know. If I'm going to use one of those, I guess blue cheese would probably be the one. I don't really use those that often.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Listen, I understand the ranch grind. I do. But blue cheese is meant for a wing, right? It's meant for a wing. Now it's a Northeast thing, and it's a North thing. There's a lot of ranch in the South, which I've come to learn. That's neither here nor there. Okay. So the bar of the week, boys. We've been bouncing around. We've hit Davis's Pub. We've hit Shunk Gully. We've hit Moosehead. We've hit Seaview Inn. We've hit Half-Shell Raw Bar. They are, for me, the top 10. I know it's only 5 bars, but they're in my top 10, 15 bars that I love to go to. Before we get to that, though, I know there's a lot of people that are looking to go to games as football season starting, preseason games, and also baseball season. Playoff season's right here. It's crazy. It's August, but 2 months, boom. Here's basketball and hockey season right here too. So make sure you check out our friends over at SeatGeek, guys. Use promo code Colin Thompson, one word, COLINTHOMPSON. Check us out. Check them out. Hook yourself up. $20 off any ticket order, $50 or more. Promo code Colin Thompson, my name together, full name. Check it out. Okay, so our bar of the week this week is Bow Campers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It is right in the Coral Ridge area towards North Fort Lauderdale. Shout out to the Husky family, a buddy of mine in Fort Lauderdale. We went there all the time. So Bow Campers, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's right on the water. It's right on the intercoastal. It's 2 blocks from the beach, and then it's right on the intercoastal. So it is an unbelievable place. All the boats are going up and down the intercoastal. The bridge is being lifted up for the sailboats and for the big yachts that come through. Fort Lauderdale is the yacht capital of the world, so you have all the boats and all the activity with that. TVs, you're not going to get any better than that. They're the greatest TV system ever. It's a 5 out of 5. Beer, 4 out of 5. Service, 4 out of 5. And food and ambiance, it's a 5 out of 5. Really good bar food, and the ambiance you're never going to beat because literally you're on the water. Every boat's going by. It's a really cool place where tourists go to, locals go to. It's just an awesome bar. So Bow Campers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Check it out. That's our bar of the week here at the Colin Thompson Show. All right, guys. So we got a lot done today. We talked a little bit about Taylor Heinicke. Preseason update on my end. We are finishing the Wofford College part of our training camp, and we have 2 more days here, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. 3 more days. We leave Wednesday afternoon. We're back to Charlotte. We have Fan Fest in Charlotte on Thursday, and then we travel Friday, play the Washington Commanders in Washington. That's why we released the Taylor Heinicke episode this week. Play them on Saturday. And then on Sunday, back to Charlotte. And then Monday, we fly to New England for joint practices. So that's 2 Mondays from now. So lots going on. We're in the thick of training camp. There's plenty of drama starting to happen around the league, as people are seeing. There's going to be plenty more of that coming along. But just an awesome training camp so far. Love what our team's doing. Lots of fun, lots of competition in all positions. It's been great. We have a tight-knit team. It's crazy how the team's changed in just 3 years. I've been blessed to be here now. It's my 3rd training camp in Carolina. So really excited. And that's kind of the preseason update for me. We talked Guardian Caps. We talked our wings, which is our top 5. Looking forward to what yours are going to be tomorrow, Justin, or this week. I'm going to be very critical. And then we hit the bar of the week, which is Bow Campers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that does it for me, boys. Anything from you guys here before we wrap up?
I think we touched on everything. Again, great conversation on the Guardian Caps, like we mentioned. I think we got a great episode this week with Taylor Heinicke. I'm excited to see the reaction to that one, all the social media clips we've been cooking up for that.
Guys, if you know sleep better, check out our friends at Som Sleep. Promo code Colin. You're getting tickets to a football game, to a baseball game. Promo code Colin Thompson at SeatGeek. Fudge Kitchen, the best. FudgeKitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. And our friends over at Wealth Advisory Services, awesome to have them back. They are the best in the business, and I'm so lucky to have them in my corner. WealthAdvisoryServices.com. Guys, we're going to send it over to the Taylor Heinicke interview. Taylor, really appreciate you joining us. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Taylor Heinicke's in the house, man. Justin Ayers is rocking out in the sidecar next to me here. We're cruising through an interview here with Taylor. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just got home from a workout. Trying to sweat out a little bit of alcohol I had this weekend playing golf.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're checking in here July 1st. We're off to a hot start, and we caught up off air, but we didn't talk about any boozing, which is fantastic. That we save it for the authentic part of the show. So I shut it off after July 4th.
Okay.
I think because I give it a good effort from about the end of the season to about July 4th. So I tried to have some sort of discipline here before we go. Talk about this golf tournament. Would you get into a little golf tournament? Was it like an official thing, or was it just like casual?
No, so I went back to Virginia Beach. That's where I went to college, and I held like ODU, and held like a little 7-on-7 camp for like some kids, ages from 5th grade to 9th grade, which was a lot of fun. Met up with some old coaches, and then my old head coach from college, Coach Bobby Wilder. Every time I'm in town, we always play about 2 or 3 rounds together, and we put some good money on the tables, who wins. And when you're out there having fun time, there's money on the line, you start boozing a little bit. So the last about 3 days, we've been out there getting after it. So I just figured it would be one last little hoorah before camp.
Now, are you jumping in the sauna on Monday morning?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sauna, long walks down in this Georgia humid heat. I'm sweating it all out.
I absolutely love that. I love that. That's fantastic. I mean, you got all that XFL money, man. So you're putting that all on the line. What type of money? What type of money are you putting up? Can you disclose on the show?
Yeah, what we like to do is, we play a bunch of different stuff, and I probably can't even tell you it all because he plays golf every day. But we usually like putting 100 on the first 9, 100 on the back 9, and then 100 total. So you could have a chance to win 300, 200, or essentially you have a chance to win 300, 100, or cut even.
Yep.
And then we play a game called Wolf. I don't know if you've ever played Wolf.
I don't know. No, I have not. But I'll say this. There's a bunch of different names for the same game in golf.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially you pick an order for your foursome and say I'm the first guy to go. So I hit a nice shot or any type of shot. And then let's say you go second and you hit a bad shot. I'm like, okay, I don't want you to be my partner. I'll wait for the next guy to hit.
Oh, I never have.
So say the third guy hits a good shot. I'm like, okay, now he's my partner. So now we're a team, and it's whoever makes the best score gets a dot on the first hole, and the dot is $1. So every time you go to the next hole, you can up the dots. So say you're down 4 dots on hole 5, and the dot total's at 3. You can say, all right, let's up it to 4, and you just keep doing that. So if I started the first hole teeing off first and you were second, on the second hole you would tee off first, and it kind of just rotates like that, like a clock. You might have a different team every time you play a different hole. So it's something that you're always playing for something, and you can't just like cash it in on like hole 12.
I love that. I'll admit I've never played it.
Yeah, and then if you get a birdie, you get a dot. If you get a par, if you and your teammate get a par, it's called a family. You get another dot. So it's like, there's always something to play for.
So the one game I played, and Wealth Advisory Services, one of our sponsors here at Not For Long Media, check them out. If you don't know them, you should. WealthAdvisoryServices.com. Paul, who is a founding member and a great friend of the show and my financial advisor, we play a game. He called it just money in the pocket. I forget what it was. And it's great for a golfer like me who it's really tough to get out. And I'll lay down 2 or 3 holes where I think I could play on the PGA, and then I lay down 2 or 3 holes where I lose about 10 balls in 2 or 3 holes. So right, that's like kind of the nature of the beast here. So when I'm done, maybe a little bit more consistency, but he said, hey, let's play this game. I'm like, all right, cool. So we all take $20 out. You hand it to him. He goes up first. Boom. He gets a birdie. He keeps the money. He gets a par. You keep the money. You one putt. You keep the money. You hit it to the sand trap. You hit it out of bounds. You hit it in the water. You got to pass the money to the next guy in the tee off order.
Okay.
And you just keep rotating. Hole 1, you get the money, right? All that stuff where anything where you're playing well, you can earn the money back. So even if you're not in order to get the money and you chip in for birdie, the money goes right back in your pocket. Whoever finishes the 18 or 9 holes with the money in the pocket gets the money.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So but what if say you chip in for birdie and someone else one putts? What happens there? Do you split it?
I think because you did it first, you have it. So if you're away essentially and the money will go back to the person who birdies last. So
okay.
Correct. It rewards the people that are closer that do better. Yes. Okay. So if I chip in for birdie and someone putts for birdie, I think it's birdie, not par. Yeah. Had to be birdie. Then you get the money right away. So it's a fun game to keep the money rolling. And for guys like me that all right, get frustrated where we literally can't keep score. Cause I'll be like, I'll shoot a birdie and then I'll shoot a snowman. And you're like, what's my handicap? I can't tell you. Now, do we have a handicap? Are you playing with a handicap?
Yeah. So again, my handicap's like a 9 or 10. So say someone else is like a 14. Well, he'll get 4 strokes, 2 on the front, 2 on the back. And so say it's a par 5 and it's one of the handicap holes. If he shoots a 5, he really gets a 5-4. So it's really a birdie for him. So if I don't birdie that hole, he wins those dots. So it's a good way to kind of even out the playing field. You really like playing with people with over 18 handicap because they get a stroke on every hole, and you're like, dude, just play good on 2 holes and maybe we can get some dots.
That's me. We make a ton of money. We'd make a fortune. We wouldn't have to go back to playing the XFL anymore. It'd be okay. I think you and I are done with that.
There we go.
I think I'm done with it. I'm nothing wrong with it. Not that I don't want to go back, but I don't know, man, if I have to go back like that anymore. It's a grind. It was a grind. Talk about your experience in the XFL, though, right? You played behind Jordan, and you become an NFL starting quarterback, and you win a lot of football games. It's a crazy journey. We've all been there, and there's so much for you and I to kind of go through, and I want to go back to the beginning with you. But touch on the NFL before we get into it, because we have a lot of similarities in our career.
You said NFL or XFL?
XFL, sorry.
Yeah. So XFL, I always called it the JUCO of the NFL. So it's kind of like guys that were in it, or like they're good enough to go, but they just, they need that other shot. But then you add in some money, you'll see a lot of interesting things. So the funniest part to me was if you won the game, you come back and there's a bunch of seltzers in the locker room, and guys would just be getting hammered there in the locker room, which is a lot of fun. I wish the NFL kind of did something like that.
Bud Lights. We're sponsored by Bud Light. The league is, and
I know
players are not allowed to work with any other beer products. As you saw, Patrick Mahomes come out with the Coors Light flashlight. Did you see that?
No.
So Pat Mahomes came out with a Coors Light flashlight because you're not allowed to work with other brand beer, and they sold out of flashlights in a second.
I did not know that.
Yes, it's fantastic. It was on Twitter probably a couple days ago. I wasn't playing golf. I was not having a good time like you were doing, so I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I brought it to my attention. So, long story short, need some Bud Light in the locker room, NFL.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Bud Light. Hey, like the old days. How about a 6-pack for the road? Like just sitting in your locker like it's the 80s in the NHL.
Oh, yeah. So, like my buddy Brandon Sheriff, he was the right guard for us last year. Really good player. He would get like 50 Busch Lights for the flights home, man. Like you would have quarterback coaches coming back. You would have, equipment guys coming back.
Don't sell anybody out too much, man. Just say there was a lot of staff and people coming back for a couple.
Yes. Lots of staff, lots of people that you don't see much from up top coming back and having a good time. So,
now is he greasing giving a 20 to equipment guy that's handling that, or is that just something that he's like, I'm Brandon Sheriff, I'm walking on with 2 cases of Busch Light?
No, he's giving the flight attendant money. So while we're playing the game, they're grabbing the beers and getting them cold for when we come back on.
Wow,
smart move.
It's really a smart move. So we get on the bus and there's a player. I'm not going to say players' names, but there's a player on after one of our games, and he's. Man, I don't know if we can legally keep this segment in. Whatever, screw it. No harm, no foul. So, they're having a couple beers. I'm like, what is that? Is that a Coors Light? Oh, where'd you get that at? Do you own one? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm a Monday night guy. I like to have a couple beers on Monday night. After the game, I wind it down as much as I can, and then Monday, wings and beers somewhere or whatever, just get away.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where'd you get that from? He said, another veteran, another team, a tradition that he puts whatever you're liking of beer in your locker after the game. So you come home and it's like you come in after the game and the beers are iced down for you.
There we go.
Like that is major league. So we played Washington this year, and Matt Ioannidis and I are buddies. And I gave a 20 to a member of the staff and said, hey, can you put this in Matt's locker? And I had a couple iced down local Charlotte beers.
There we go.
A couple Sycamores in there. Shout out to Sycamore.
Oh, Sycamore's good. Sycamore Brewing.
Oh, so, yeah. Matt I's like, hey, man, that was first class. I'm like, I just learned from a guy and passed it on. So any of my friends that come to town this year expect that type of, service. And I expect the same thing back.
Yeah.
So, maybe in the preseason game this year, because you came on the podcast, maybe, throw a case in my lock. No, I'm kidding.
But you guys are coming up to us, aren't y'all?
We are. And I just moved to Annapolis. So it'd be cool to, to get back home, get back in the area, come to FedEx and play you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you might find yourself a nice little gift in there.
All right, Justin. We're going to have to hold him accountable to that. What do you think?
Taylor, are you still sponsored by Bud Light?
I'm not, man. That was only like a 6-month deal. I think it ended in March or April.
You were sponsored by Bud Light?
Yeah, man. I got sponsored last year by Bud Light.
Can you talk us through those details a little bit? I don't need to know, but how does that go down?
So, ever since that dive in the pylon, I've always shouted out Heineken because I was just, my last name. I'm like, I'm trying to get this deal. This would be a dream come true. and they were not budging, man. So like literally every interview I had, I was calling out Heineke, and they weren't budging. And so finally, I was at the podium. I think it was training camp, or maybe even it was definitely training camp. And someone was like, "We see that you always call out Heineken. Like, have they reached out?" Like, I was like, "No." He's like, "Maybe you should reach out to Bud Light." And I was like, I'd love to sign with Bud Light." Literally 2 hours later, Bud Light sends my agent a contract, and I was like, I signed it. So they sent me a bunch of cool stuff, bunch of like. They sent me 10, 12 packs, a huge Bud Light Yeti, a bunch of apparel, and a nice little penny. So, like, I was like, I'm all in, man. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Play the game.
There's certain beers I don't drink, just for how it makes me feel the next day, I would say.
Yeah.
And, I'll be transparent. Bud Light's one of them. But I'll drink Bud Light if they sponsor me. Absolutely. So shout out to Bud Light.
Yeah.
The taste of the NFL. And the official beer sponsor of Taylor Heinicke.
Bud Lightike.
Bud
Lightike, yeah, that was their little campaign for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do we know any of those other sponsorships around the league with the boys? With anybody?
I don't know, man. I don't know of any beer ones.
It's kind of tough, man. It's tough sledding. NFL players just don't have the viewership of other people. First off, there's so many of us when it comes to compared to other pro sports, right? So like NBA guys have these huge contracts. Well, there's only 7 guys that really end up playing in games, maybe 8. So
yeah,
there's a ton of us, and it's really unique. But I digress. Some great beer talk, some great golf talk, and I'm glad we spent 15 minutes talking about that because that's what really truly matters in this world is beer and golf.
Yep.
Let's take it back. You're from Georgia. Are you the multi-sport athlete guy? Talk about your family, talk about your hometown.
Yeah. So, from Atlanta, grew up about 35 minutes northeast of it in a place called Gwinnett County, kind of like Suwanee, Norcross, Beaufort. I don't know if you've heard of those.
I have. I trained at Chip Smith coming out.
Yep. Right there in Duluth, huh?
Yep. It's great. Chip's a great guy. Their family's fantastic. I love working out there.
Yeah. They bring in a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So I grew up right on that area, and, I played baseball, basketball, and football growing up. I decided to quit basketball in 7th grade when this kid named Saul Nimley, I'm still good friends with him, would just embarrass me during tryouts. And I was like, you know what? This isn't for me, man. Like, I'm done with this. So I really focused all my attention on baseball and football. Really loved baseball more than football. Was really into it. And for some reason, once I got to high school, it just went away. And I remember being on the baseball field and football spring practice was going on. And I just always find myself looking over at the football field, like wanting to be on the field instead of on the baseball field. And that's why I made the decision to just really focus on football. Because I fell in love with the quarterback position, I think 1 or 2 years prior to that. I didn't play quarterback until I was in 8th grade. So that's when I really fell in love with the game of football. So yeah, I grew up going to Consul High School, was an undersized guy. I was 5'9", 5'10", 170 pounds, and only got to throw the ball 7-8 times. My junior year, we had an all-state running back. And then finally my senior year, we had some good receivers, and our OC was like, hey, we're going to throw the ball 40 times a game. I was like, let's do it. So we started putting up some good numbers, and I finally got my first offer late my senior year from Old Dominion, and I just took it. Once you get that first offer late, you're like, you got to take it before someone else does. So, yeah, from there I went to Old Dominion.
How does that look? I'm sorry, Jay, I'm jumping in here. How does that work out in the explain that to our listeners? You get an offer late, what does that mean? Especially for the quarterback position where they're really only offering maybe 1 or 2 guys, or they're offering their guy. My buddy's a shout out to Matt Johns. He's a quarterback coach at William & Mary. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like, no, I offer like these 2 guys. These are my guys. Like, explain that to our listeners.
So a lot of these coaches now, they have they do all this recruiting, and they're like, all right, these are the 3 guys I love, and we want these guys. And you obviously rank them 1, 2, 3. So you offer the first guy. Hopefully he commits. And if he's kind of dragging his feet for a certain amount of weeks, you got to move on because you're thinking he's just waiting for something better. And you kind of just go from there. You just have kind of a list. And the crazy part now is the college game is so much different now than it was when we were going to college. The amount of ways you can get video out there. I mean, you just go on Huddle and you can see whatever you want. Back when I was in high school, and sure as you too, we had to make discs and individually send them out to each coach from college.
So I had an envelope, like a resume.
Yep.
So we had the USPSs. I'll never forget it. USPS. Yeah, USPS. I had them all over the table. We printed out 30 resumes of like community service, GPA. Like literally, my dad's like, we're treating this like a business. I'm like, all right, Dad, here we go. A stack of discs, a resume, a local newspaper article, and like something else. And we sent them all over. Pick your top 30. We're sending them to 30. That's what it was.
Yeah, man. My dad sent them. I think my dad sent it to over 150 colleges, man.
Wow.
And then like the summer going into my senior year, I think I went to 20 to 25 summer camps, like Furman, Walford, like everywhere, and none of them would offer. So I was like, damn, this might be my last year playing ball. And luckily we threw the ball 40 times a game.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
Wasn't there a game at ODU where you had like 700 passing yards or something?
Yeah, I was against New Hampshire my sophomore year. So we're down 24 points within like 5 minutes in the game. Just not a good way to start the game. And I remember my offensive coordinator comes up to me. He's like, hey, we're going to throw the ball every single play from here on out. And I was like, oh, all right, dude, like, whatever. Sure enough, 79 passes later, we're winning 64-61, threw for 730 yards. And it was just a, wild game. But that was kind of when ODU kind of made a name for itself.
ODU?
As a 19-year-old, when you're on Sports Center top 10, you're like, you think you made it, So I'm out at the bar that night, and I kind of see yourself up on TV, and like people buying you shots. I was like, oh, this is fucking cool, So that's when that was like kind of like my first moment of like, this is pretty neat.
Damn. So, I mean, you mentioned something earlier. You said that, the offered game coming out of college, it didn't necessarily go your way. You thought that might be like your last time playing football. I mean, your career and just everything, we'll get into it, I'm sure. But like, did your belief in yourself and what you could do ever waver, even going back to that time or even when you're in the league trying to catch on?
I knew I could play. I believed in myself. It was just I had to prove it to other people. And I get it. When you're 5'9", 5'10", 170 pounds, you're not going to have the Georgias, you're not going to have those type of schools, the ACC, SEC type of schools. And even then, like you have other quarterbacks at 6'2", 6'3" that might not be as good, but they have the potential to be, become something good. So it was kind of like, yeah, we might take a shot on the short guy, but he doesn't really, we've kind of seen his ceiling. I think that's kind of what they were thinking. But, I would just, in my mind, I was like, when I get an opportunity, I'm going to make the most of it because I know I can play.
So you go from ODU, and then when did you realize at ODU, like, oh, I think I could play. I think I could do this league thing. Like, yeah, I know I'm good enough. I know I can spin it, but it's different than spinning in college and then you go spin in the league. Especially from my perspective at a tight end, like, okay, like I can block these DNs. I'm more of a blocking guy. Mm-hmm. I can block these guys. I can play and block. I think almost anybody in college football. At least I'm going to try my best to. Mm-hmm. But you get to the league, like I went with the Giants, man. My first mini camp when I was with them, and my first, training camp taste, I got crushed. Rookie year, obviously, you're just getting your lunch fed to you every day. Take me back and take us back to college, and you're like, what, I could do this shit in the league.
The first time it ever like kind of creeped in my mind was my sophomore year was a really good year, and I got to win the Walter Payton Award, which is kind of the equivalent from a Heisman in the FCS. And I kind of looked at the previous winners, and you have Jimmy G, you have Tony Romo, you have guys like that, and you start thinking, okay, if they did this and they won this award, maybe I can make that next step and be successful. So that's when it kind of like crept to my mind that maybe I have a chance. But I just knew like that's FCS ball. You got to play against the best of the best to make it. And so the next year we moved up to FBS. There was a little transition year, and then my senior year we were on a full FBS schedule, and we went 6-6. And it was an okay year. And to be quite honest, I didn't know if I was going to get a chance. But Scott Turner at Minnesota Vikings, he believed in me. He saw something in me and brought me up to Minnesota. And even then, I was still kind of nervous. I didn't know if I was good enough. And I just remember going in that first preseason game and having a pretty good game. And I was like, okay, I can do this. This is something I can, kind of strive for, keep getting better, and maybe make an impact.
Yeah, I want to have Justin tee up some New England questions here because I know, he brought it up earlier. He said, you saw he kind of went to New England there after Minnesota. But before we get to New England, talk about your time in Minnesota there, because you get hurt, you're on the injured off the field injured reserve list. There's all these new lists. There's all these lists you can't keep track of. Then you're on IR. Then you play. Then you get cut. What happened there?
Yeah, so rookie year was, I was just back or being like third string, essentially. Didn't dress for any games. It was kind of just like those street clothes. You're just collecting money.
You're active.
Active
Beautiful.
all year.
Beautiful thing, folks. So again, we reiterate a lot on this podcast because people don't understand. 46 active members of the 53-man roster play on game day.
Yep.
The 7 of us, like I have been several times, are there in sweats, a hat, traveled with the team, practiced all week, and then got the tap on the shoulder right before the game that, hey, 7 of you aren't playing, and this is what Taylor was referencing, essentially.
Yep. So yeah, I got to collect an active paycheck for a whole year, and I just got to learn, which is pretty sweet. But then that off season, I made a stupid mistake during this time period. I'm not going to get into it. It's a long story, but essentially, I was locked out of my house, and it was late at night, and I had there's a French door, like there's some French doors in the back, and I thought I could just kind of kick the wood in and it would open. My foot missed the wood and went straight through a window, and it just sliced up my ankle. And so the call to my agent, the call to my coaches after that was just brutal. Fortunately, they kept me. A lot of people that do that, you're probably getting cut. So, I was fortunate enough for that. And, from there, they kept me on the NFI. I think it's NFI, non-football injury.
Yep.
That's what it's called. I was on there for the first 8 weeks, and the moment I could get activated off that was week 9, and they did it. So it's like they still believed in me. They believed I could bring something. So it was like Scott and Norv trying to really, really help me stay in that league. They believed in me, and again, it all paid off 5-6 years later when I came up to Washington for that Tampa game.
There's something I wanted to ask both of you guys, because I think you bring unique perspective. It's just like, as like undrafted guys who like early on in your NFL career, you're trying to catch on with teams. Is it hard to like try to not do too much in those times where you have the feelings of maybe like, I have to be on my A game at all times. I have to bring it every practice. I have to, be liked around my teammates. Was that hard to try to not fall into that?
Yeah, especially like as a rookie, you're always trying to do the right thing. You're almost working too hard. And I remember Sean Hill was a very seasoned vet. I think it was his 14th year in the league, my rookie year. And if it wasn't for him, I think I would have gone crazy. He was always like, as a rookie, Colin, that you do well at practice. Even if you make a good block, your coach is getting after you as a rookie. Like you did something wrong. So I remember like completing 6 balls in a row at practice one time. Like I'm on a roll. But after every completion, Norv Turner was like yelling at me. I'm like, man, am I going fucking crazy? Like I thought I was doing well. So I'll get down on myself, and Sean would just come up and be like, listen, man, like this is how it is. You're a rookie. You just got to deal with it, but you're doing great. Just calm down. So, when he said that, I could really kind of, step back, kind of just believe in myself and, be comfortable with how I was doing. Obviously I knew when I was doing bad. But at the end of the day, football, if you complete the ball and move the chains, that's the name of the game. So, I think Norv was just giving me a hard time, and, just picking on the rookie.
To answer your question, Justin, and it's a great one. I mean, I was stressed. I was so stressed. I really think the stress led to me having an emergency appendectomy. So
What?
Yes. So this is what happened, man. Well, I've had some bad injury luck over the years with some weird things. Obviously, in Florida, the people that listen to the show know I broke my right foot my first year of Florida when I was a Gator twice within 6 months, the same bone. Jones fracture, very popular. I know you know about it. And then navicular stress fracture on the left side, which is like the Joel Embiid injury. So Florida's like, hey, man, this is too much with the feet. You're done. Get out of the program pretty much. Pay for your school. It's called medically disqualification. Pay for your school, but you got to stop playing football. Your career's over. You got to be able to walk around with your kids. All this hunky-dory, kind of bullshit. And I was like, well, what do you mean? I'm done. I'm going to play in the NFL. I've been set my goals since I'm 12 years old. Like, I'm going to go play in the league. Fast forward, my dream comes true. I'm playing with the New York Giants. My favorite player when I was a kid was Jeremy Shockey. He wore number 80. I walk in my locker room in the Giants. He was all over my vision board. Like, I had a vision board when I was a kid, and I've talked about this on the show before. Like, I visioned everything. He was on my vision board, 80. I had a poster of him. Like, every day, walk by it on the way to school. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. Walking with the Giants, boom, 80's hanging in my locker. Didn't pick the number. Didn't say a word. I wore 86 in college. Victor Cruz just left the team, and they gave me the number. People heckled the shit out of me for that too, by the way. I'm like, I didn't pick it. They gave it to me. Long story short, though, Taylor, I play the first preseason game against Pittsburgh. I play 5 snaps, maybe, of a 2-minute no-huddle period. Now, we're down like 2 or 3 scores. It didn't matter. But still, talk about the worst situation for me. I'm very comfortable blocking. I've become I've been a comfortable route runner. It's just not been my role in teams. I'm a comfortable route runner, but at the time, I was definitely not comfortable in an NFL game running routes. I'm running go balls down the middle of the field, like 4 straight plays against Steelers, and then whatever. The buzzer sounds. I spend the night in New York City with my family and friends. We get dinner, right? We go back. I'm about to go back the next day for treatment the whole 9, like at noon after breakfast. Like, going to be a normal off day. It's going to be great. Not so fast. Wake up in the morning, my stomach's ready to explode. Like, literally rolling around on the ground. And fast forward, I find myself in the ER. They're slicing me open, and I'm getting my appendix ripped out.
Oh, my God.
So I had an emergency appendectomy, and they cut me. They said, oh, you'll be fine. Take 48 hours, take 2 weeks, like, hang in the hotel, like, walk around, be around the team. You'll be fine. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to miss a bulk of training camp. I'm nervous as shit. Like, sweating bullets, like, every day. It was, like, stressful. Like, Jason Pierre-Paul, Olivier Vernon. Okay, here's this guy. Like, it was a lot, right? Yeah. And then you're learning a playbook, which is currently our playbook here with Coach McAdoo, which is it's a big boy playbook. There's some in the NFL that are not. There's some that are. Mm-hmm. This is a big boy playbook, and I love it. It'll be good for us this year in Carolina. But, yeah, man, I was so stressed, and I think it led to the emergency appendectomy, honestly.
Probably.
And I don't think it has anything to correlate to it, but my body was going through some stuff, man. I was struggling to just stay on, and the pressure, Justin, to answer your question and perform. I just answered that in about 6 minutes when I should have answered it in 1. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure to perform, especially these undrafted guys. They drafted Evan Ingram in the first round that year, and I'm the undrafted tight end. I mean, they're paying one, I don't know, $20 million guaranteed. They're paying one. My signing bonus was $4,500. So, yeah, man, it's a struggle. It's a grind, Justin, to answer your question.
The tough part, too, is like you only get maybe 6 to 8 reps in practice.
That's it.
And you're
6
like,
to 8 reps in a 3-hour practice. Everyone's like, oh, that's nice.
No.
I
mean, that's your interview. That's your interview and you got to make the most of it. Don't mess up and make a play. It's just like, every rep is gold when you're an undrafted guy and you're trying to make the team.
And the hardest part too is there could be an undrafted, or whatever, a 4th-round pick, offensive lineman for me. In my perspective, there's a tight end, there's a tackle next to me, and we're working a double team to the Sam linebacker. We're working a triple block. He may go the wrong way. Mm-hmm. He may jump off sides. You may jump off side. Like, you may lose those reps, especially with the third group. Quarterback can get in there and say the wrong cadence.
Yep.
We could all go, but the center may not snap the ball. Like, that stuff all happens. No one really sees that because you see the starting product on the field mostly. And some of the preseason games, you get a whiff of that stuff. But no, it's a great question, Justin. It's a grind, just like the grind that my man had in New England there for a little bit too. I know you want to ask him about New England.
I did. Yeah. I know your time there was really brief. I think it was in 2017, but like, what did you take away or anything that like has stuck with you throughout the years from your time in New England?
Oh man. The way they did things up there, how efficient they were with their time. Like, there wasn't a wasted minute in there. Whether it's from going straight from meetings to, hey, you got 5 minutes to get a snack and we're going upstairs to do a walkthrough and you better not be late. And right when that 5-minute thing hit, if you're late, you're getting in trouble, but we're going. So it was like there was no wasted time. And then the workouts there were probably the hardest workouts I've ever had in the NFL. Like, I remember the first day I got there, Mind you, it was practice squad workouts, so those are a little tougher than, active guys, but it's a Saturday, and, that's like the big workout day for practice squad guys. And we go out there, and I want to say we run like 10 hills. We do all this agility stuff. We're doing stuff for about an hour, and then we run 20 striders. The shortest one being 70 yards, the longest one being 170 yards, and it was timed. So then we get done with that, and I'm dying. And he's like, all right, I think we're done. He's like, all right, now we're going inside. We're doing heavy squats, like 8 sets of 6 heavy squats. I'm just like, I guess this is why New England's New England, and Tuesdays, the quarterbacks would come in, have their long quarterback meetings. Coach Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, those guys, it was super cool. But they would have a scouting report that was about 10 pages long. And on those pages would be every single person on that defense, whether he was a starter, practice squad, does not matter. And it had information that you didn't even think you knew. Did he have siblings? Where did he go to school? What did he major in? Does he have a 2-parent household? Just everything. Then we would watch about 10 to 15 clips on every single one of those people, like good clips and bad clips. Like, hey, obviously he has a good swim move, this and that. But, late in the games, he gets tired, and he'll show us clips of that. So those meetings took about 4 to 5 hours. And it was that was the New England way, man. That's the depth they got to be who they were.
That's incredible. What was your first interaction with Tom Brady like?
Oh, it's actually a funny story. So the first day, I told myself I'm going to be the first one in the facility. Like, I want to make a good impression. So I get to the facility at like 5:30 in the morning, and I go straight to the quarterback room to start studying the playbook. And I walk in, and Tom Brady's already in there with his feet up, coffee in hand, watching film. I'm like, oh my God. So, Tom's probably seen hundreds of quarterbacks come in and out of that, that program. So he turns around, he looks at me in a very confused look. Like, he's like, who are you? And I was like, Tom, my name's Taylor Heineke. I'm the new practice squad quarterback. We shook hands. He's like, take a seat. Let's watch some film. So I just remember sitting in front of him, started watching film with him at 5:30 in the morning. It was a pretty cool experience. He was just, started asking me questions, where you from, stuff like that. And I'm like, after the fact, I was like, I really just had a, full-on conversation with the GOAT at 5:30 in the morning watching film on my first day at New England. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. He's an ageless wonder. He's the greatest of all time. Of course, in our division, hey, he's not coming back. This is great. And then he comes right back. So it changes the whole thing. Changes the whole NFL. I mean, the guy's just unreal. All right. So keep moving through your career here. You got, New England, then you're in Houston, practice squad there. You got promoted. You played active. Then all of a sudden you find yourself in Carolina, and then you find yourself in the XFL. Can you talk through Houston, Carolina, and then how you find yourself in the XFL? Because, we all have our story of, the rise to the top, and then in the fall to what am I doing next?
Yep. So I spent a couple of weeks at home after, New England, and then I go to Houston. I was on practice squad there, and about 2 or 3 games in, when I was still on practice squad, Tom Savage got a very bad concussion in the end zone, where he was almost like having a seizure. And they kept him in, the people up top didn't see it. So he kept on playing. And the next week they're like, listen, this guy can't play. So they put TJ Yates was starting, and then they bumped me up to be the backup. Well, I don't know if it was the first game that was active or maybe the second game. We were playing on Christmas against the Steelers, and TJ Yates goes down with a concussion. So next thing you know, I'm playing my first NFL snaps in a regular game on Christmas national television against the Steelers. And, weeks prior, I was at home not playing ball. So it was a crazy experience. I got, I completed my first pass to Will Fuller, and not only 8 plays later, I got concussion. So TJ Yates went back in, and that was that. So when time for OTAs came the next year, they cut me right the day before OTAs. Carolina claimed me. Norv and Scott Turner were there. Came there, had a great preseason, earned the backup role to Cam Newton. So that was a really fun year. We were rolling that year. I think we were 6-0, maybe 5-0, and then we lost I don't know how many straight. Got my first start that year, week 16 against Atlanta Falcons. First drive was an 18-play drive, 10 minutes and a touchdown. And then from there went all downhill. About threw 3 picks, tore my tricep right before halftime. Just not a good way. So after that game that was my last game playing in Carolina, and I got cut the next offseason. And then from there, I was at home doing nothing, and it just didn't sit well with me that the last game I played was torn tricep, 3 picks. So, XFL comes, Colin. I'm like, hey, you know what? I wasn't comfortable with how football ended for me. I'm gonna go play in the XFL, and I ended up, backing up Jordan Teamu for 4 or 5 weeks.
I just want to go back to that one start in Carolina, because I went back and was watching the game film of that. You wrecked your non-throwing elbow in that game, right? Was that pretty early on that you got hurt?
It was right before halftime. I tried to brace a fall. All the ligaments in my elbow popped, and they didn't know this at first, but they had a partially torn tricep.
And you still gutted it out, and you played the entire game. I think you threw like 55 passes. That's kind of like a theme though for you, right? Because it's like the toughness and the grittiness I feel like you bring as a passer. Like, where do you think that came from?
It came from Brett Favre. When I was born, my dad's from Wisconsin. So when I was born, I was automatically a cheesehead. And I remember him forcing me to watch Packer games with him every Sunday. And the passion and the fun that Brett played with and how tough he was, I loved watching it. It was almost addicting just to keep watching him play. So I think I got that from him. My dad, he was hard on me, and it made me tough and gritty. But again, I was always the smaller, shorter guy, and you have to be that way to get where you want to be. So it's kind of been like a life theme for me to get what I want, and I still carry that to this day.
You play with a ton of gritty, you have played with a ton of grit. Excuse me. You're fun to watch. You have that electric, personality with the play. It's really Brett Favre's a great, comparison to kind of the way you play, the way you run around. I got to see you play in person, and always admired you from afar. But you've kind of set your roots here in Washington the last couple of years. Like you have a home now in the league. Now it may not be where you want it to be. I think all of us in this league, the majority of us, it's probably not what we want when it comes to the opportunity and the role and whatever it may be. But Coach Rivera brings you in. Again, Norvin Scott Turner there. That's like the common thread of your career. Can you talk about Washington? Yeah,
so got the call up to be, honestly, the COVID quarterback. That's the only reason they brought me up. I don't remember if you remember Denver Broncos, their whole quarterback room got COVID.
And they wouldn't let that running back play quarterback, but they wouldn't let him bring somebody on. It was this whole thing, right?
Yeah, so they had to play a receiver at quarterback that game.
Yeah, I remember that. He got smoked. It was like a whole story. They ended up getting smoked.
Yeah. So Washington was in a playoff push, and they're like, "This can't happen to us. We got to bring someone in." So they're like, "Who can we bring in that knows the playbook and can maybe win us a game or two?" And Scott was like, "Bring Taylor up." So, during COVID, like people, all the meetings were through Zoom. So everyone's at home in Zoom except for the quarterbacks. We were all in the team room. So all of the 3 quarterbacks that were there were sitting up front, and they were like, "Taylor, your ass is going to be in the very back. Like, don't even get near anyone. Like, don't even give that COVID deal's like, it was huge." So I was probably 20 yards away from everybody, whether it was at practice or at meetings. And sure enough, injury here, injury there. And then I'm thrust into that playoff game against Tom Brady.
The COVID year. Okay. And I'll make this crystal clear. COVID was horrible. It did a lot of bit damage across our world, across our country, horrible things. We lost family members, friends. It's a horrible thing. I said it. I want to make that clear. Move past that. It did a lot of good for a lot of people like myself and Taylor. Mm-hmm. I don't want to speak for you. You just pretty much said it.
Yep.
I point blank period came out of the XFL. Coach Rule gave me a chance. He said, "I liked your film in the XFL. We're going to sign you here." We didn't have any preseason games. They had to keep the whole roster intact. That's just point blank period. They didn't have a choice. You have to have all these practice squad guys. They made your practice squads bigger. They gave people more chances. We didn't have OTAs that year. I'm not an underwear Olympics OTAs guy. I could compete and make plays and do all that, but I've been a pads guy. I'm a pads guy. So like we had padded practices. We didn't have preseason games. We didn't have OTAs. So it was controlled environments and that I was doing that I thrived at. And I, took advantage of it. And that's why I'm still here in Carolina. But it's crazy the impact of the COVID has had on the NFL. But more importantly, that people don't understand is the shuffling and the economics behind it, how it helped individuals like me and Taylor. I think it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. It was almost like the biggest curse, but also the biggest gift. Like, so many people were hurting from it, but, I got the good end of it. It was just, something that happened and you kind of just run with it.
Yeah, no, it's been quite the journey. Jay, do you have anything else for him when it comes to Washington stuff?
Well, I'm just curious, like, how did your life change after that playoff game? Obviously, we saw that the dive for the pylon, you become this national guy. Like, how did your day-to-day life change after that one game?
Oh, huge. The funny thing is I didn't really recognize the fact that ODU was right down the road from Washington and that there's a lot of ODU fans were also Washington fans. So I hate bringing up social media because I honestly hate social media, but going into that game, I had 24,000 followers. I get back to my locker, I check it. I think I have 120,000. Somewhere around the range. I gained like 100,000 followers in 3 hours. It was
shout out to Bud Light.
Yeah, shout out to Bud Light. But no, it was wild. So, this whole story, throughout my life, I'm sure a lot of people saw that around the DC area. A lot of ODU fans around there, and it kind of spread quickly like wildfire. And now, like when you go out, you kind of just get noticed a lot. When before I can kind of go out and just be, just one of the guys, and not be bothered and stuff. So it's drastically changed. At the same time, you get a lot of cool opportunities. Like I got to talk to Pat McAfee on his show. I got to, meet Brett Favre. I got to, do a lot of things I never thought I would be able to do. So, no, it definitely changed my life forever. And again, it bought me a 2-year contract, and hopefully I can play for 3-4 more. So, it definitely changed my life, and I'm very thankful for that.
You got to make sure you check the boxes here. You shouted out McAfee. You did not shout out Bussin' with the Boys. Shout out to Bussin' with the Boys.
Oh, yeah. Will and Taylor, shout out.
What was that experience like, man?
That was really cool. Not going to lie, I was nervous, man. I was like, these guys are super cool. I don't want to,
You just want to be friends. Can we be friends?
Yeah. Huh?
Can we be friends?
Yeah. Can we just be friends?
Can you like me? Can you please like me? I like you. I like your show. Yeah.
But you walk in, that bus is cool, man. And they just keep adding stuff to the garage they got. And they have a good thing going on. I think they're like the #1 sports podcast on like Spotify or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Barstool, right, dominates that whole space between Chicklets and Part of My Take and Bussin' with the Boys. And Bussin' with the Boys really is taken off. Like this summer, the JJ Redick interview was incredible. Your interview was great. I listened to parts of it. I hate to listen to interviews of our guests. It sounds opposite of what people think. Mm-hmm. JA's the prep guy. I try to be natural, try to be more conversation, have reactionary, and get to know you from afar because I follow you and, I see what you do. But I don't like – my biggest pet peeve too is like I don't want to ask you the same question that they asked you on purpose, Yeah,
like you already know the answer. Like that's how sometimes I hate like reporters when they do that.
Yeah.
Like
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 2 weeks prior, they'll ask me a question, and then 2 weeks later, they'll ask me the same. Like the dude in the room, like you heard my answer. Like, why are you asking? They just like want to get you on film so they can put it on their news station or something like that. It's just like, But
so that's how I operate with the podcast. Like I just try to like rip it up, have a good time, have some casual conversation, and let it go. And then I got pros like Justin that come on here and ask the real questions. A real big J journalist. My
man Justin over here looks like he needs to be on ESPN. He's got all the things behind him. He's got the professional questions going.
What do you have behind you, Justin? Can you take us through it? You need a Taylor Heineke signed picture back there.
I would love. I got the HTTR on today.
I see you might get canceled for that one, dude.
I know. Well, yeah, we won't say what it stands for.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
you know, Taylor
Deal.
signed that big contract. You know, maybe you could sign your T-shirt or something. You know, you
Yeah, I
think
got you.
Bud Light's paying him enough. And I'll say this: I'll get Baked to sign something for you too, Justin, and boom, you're all your guys.
Just all my heroes. Yeah. I have a Big J journalist question for you though.
Okay.
What's your mindset going into camp this year? They obviously added to the quarterback room. Where are you at right now?
You know what? Like a lot of people ask that, and a lot of people don't remember the fact that I was in the same position I was last year. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, so you kind of knew you're going to be the backup. So I kind of go in the same thing this year. Now we did draft Sam Howell, and he's a really good player. He could sling the rock. So but my vision and my thought process is going into this is like, hey, I'm going to compete like I'm QB1. I'm going to prepare like I'm QB1. But I'm there to like back up Carson. Like that's my job. And if something else happens, I'll roll with it. But for me, my thought process is I'm backing up Carson, and I'm going to do that, to the best of my ability.
Do you feel more comfortable knowing that, like, if your role this year ends up being kind of like that, the relief quarterback, the injury replacement guy, do you feel more comfortable knowing that that's kind of been your role the last couple of years and you've already kind of done that?
Yeah. Again, I feel like I've kind of seen all spectrums of, what you could be, third string, backup, starting. So I feel like, I'm very comfortable with the situation. And, I actually find a lot of joy in, Carson's new to this offense, and it's kind of a difficult offense to learn. The vernacular is very different. The reads are a little bit different than what he's used to. So I find a lot of joy in helping him kind of understand it and kind of dumbing it down for him. So, I enjoy it, but also at the same time, if something happens after play, that's cool too. I'm just happy to be on the team, honestly, because 2 years ago, I thought I was never playing again.
I hear you on that, man. I think sometimes I try to, check my family in on that or check my friends in on that. And, what's it like? What's it looking like? I'm like, what's it looking like? I've been on a 53-man roster 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I made my first roster out of training camp this past year. The year before, I didn't make the roster out of training camp in Carolina. Yeah. I made it like 4 days later when they shuffled guys around, right? And then I popped on. Mm-hmm. Like, what's it like? Business is booming, like there's not a bad day in the NFL, really. I mean, you may have a bad day at work, but you look down at that shield. I still look down and be like, holy shit, I'm in this league. Do you have that moment too?
Absolutely. There's some times where you're beating yourself up or you have a bad practice and you're just getting so angry and you're just like, man, like I've dreamed of being here. Try to have fun with it. Football's supposed to be fun. And so when I feel like when I do that, when I take that step back, that's when I start playing better. When I don't take it like life or death, I start playing a lot better. So, I'm glad you said that because, there's going to be times this camp where things aren't rolling well, or you're thinking, the whole world's against you, and you just kind of take a step back, like, you know what, I'm playing the game of football. You just happen to be getting paid for it.
No doubt. I think the one thing too, and we'll hit you with some rapid questions here from JA. And then we'll let you go. We know you got to finish your recovery process from a long weekend and get ready for your death. I think the one thing that's really took me back this year, and I try not to have any preconceived notions about any player, but it's hard with Cam Newton because Cam Newton is Superman. He's pulverizing. He's one of the greatest football players to ever touch this earth. Mm-hmm. He's huge. He can throw. He can run. He's a lot of different things. And you see him on the field and you're like, well, the antics and all that stuff. And that bothers people. But when I got to be in the locker room with him and he introduced himself to me the first day, walking by him, we were washing our hands or whatever. And then I got to sit in some of his meetings and I was like, man, this guy's got it going on. Like This guy, it's no mistake. This guy was 10 years in a row dominant. He'll be a chance to make the Hall of Fame. He'll be in the Ring of Honor here in Carolina. Probably have his number retired at some point here, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Guy was a legend, Super Bowl, MVP of the league, dominated the league for years. I was blown away by Cam. I tell people that all the time because people ask, right? They ask you too, probably. Hey, what's Cam Newton like? Hey, what's Carson Wentz like? What's Ron Rivera like? We all get that, and we all have an honest answer. 99.9% of the time, it's all really great answers. There's very few guys that I play with that are asses. There's one per team or per couple teams. But what was Cam Newton like to you? Because to me, I thought he was smart, articulate. I thought people learned from him. Our quarterbacks love working with him. What do you think of him?
You hit it on the nail, man. Like you hear all this talk, whether it's through the media or from other people about what they don't like about him. And you're like, man, you don't understand how hard this guy works and how much he prepares day in and day out. And not just that, he's a great dude. He likes to have fun in the locker room. He's like one of those locker room guys that you need. So he brings everything to the table. And, we still keep in touch here and there. But, I love Cam. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to work with. There was never a dull moment with him. We're in the quarterback room watching. The cool thing is we could watch film and get stuff done, but at the same time we could take a break and kind of kick it and talk about stuff. So I love Cam. He was a good dude. Is he still on the roster?
He is not on the roster in Carolina. No, not as of now. And we're full. We're getting pretty full in that room, as you know.
Yeah.
Obviously traded for Baker, Sam Darnold, Matt Corral, and PJ Walker. So it's a pretty good room. It's a great room.
Oh yeah, that's a busy room right there.
It's a busy room. I'm excited. I said it before, to work with all these guys. There's obviously an elephant in the room of you just traded for a quarterback. We have a quarterback. We have multiple quarterbacks that can play and win football games in the league. So it's fun. It's going to be great. This will be a hard roster to make. Coach Rule said it in camp. He said it to the media, I believe, too. So I say it. It's going to be a hard roster to make. There's a lot of really good players. Speaking of hard rosters to make, look at the stash, look at the hair, look at the visor from back in the back, the original Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. Shout out to our sponsor. Jack, I hear you have a Carson Wentz question. Is this going to be a Philly?
No.
Nick Foles or Carson Wentz? Let's take it to the phones. Who do you think, folks? Is that going to be this question?
I promise you, it will be a good. It's a positive question. So it seems like you and Carson have gotten close. You talked a lot of positive things about him. What would you say your favorite thing is about Carson, either on or off the field, so far from meeting him?
To be quite honest, man, he got me back into my faith. To be quite honest, I was kind of astrayed from it a little bit, and he's a big Christian guy. And there would be times where we would just start talking about stuff, and he really got me to dive back in the Bible. So, I can't thank him enough for that. And I would say that's the biggest thing that he's brought to me so far. But we go out and golf a lot together. He's a good dude. He's got a great family. He's got two beautiful young girls, and he's always in a good mood, man. He's always happy to be there, and he's always working hard. So it's almost contagious to other people to, put a smile on your face and work hard. You know how that is. It's hard to be around people that are always frowning or so-and-so called bitching all the time. It's just, you want good people around you. And he's one of those guys.
Who's better on the links between you two?
You know what? I tell you what, he's I might have him by a stroke or two, but this is the first year he's really played, and he's already shooting like 83, 84.
Of course he is. These quarterbacks, man.
It's bizarre.
Quarterbacks, kickers.
Yeah, well, you know what? The specialists, they have an advantage. I mean, you're at the facility for 2 hours, and then what? You're going to the golf course.
I think, honestly, let me touch on first your comment. Thank you for sharing that. One, great question, Jack. 2 and 3, I know Carson was huge with that stuff. The man of faith with the Eagles Super Bowl run. Mm-hmm. I'm friends with Trey Burton, and Trey's a man of faith as well. So I talked about Trey, loved Carson, and they had a Nick Foles and Matthews and kind of their kind of group there. There was a tight, Hicks. They had a tight group there through those years in Philly. But these quarterbacks, man. First off, the specialist. I'm coming back in my next life. I'm backup long snapper or whatever. I've been a rotational snapper every once in a while. I'm coming back as just a beast punter. Yeah. That's it. Not a kicker, beast punter. I don't got to make the big kicks. You got to make big kicks, but it's a little different world. You can be kind of punter. You can chill out a little bit, drop bombs. Is that what you like to come? If you couldn't come back as a quarterback, what position are you coming back as, Taylor?
In the football world?
Sure.
Am I still like 6 foot 215, or can I pick 6'8"?
Pick your height and weight.
Oh, okay. I want to be 6'7", 285, run a 4.5, and play DN.
Oh, yeah.
If you can get 1 sack a game, you're getting paid big money. And like, I feel like, I mean, obviously you have to think at DN, but at the same time, if you don't think and you just play really fast and kill, like just run into people, you're going to make something good happen.
You're probably going to face a tight end who's 6'4", 255 and have way less athleticism as you.
Yeah, just cause mayhem. Just you know.
You're looking at him. No, it's spot on. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think the one question I always want to ask people too is, and I've been dialed in. I haven't asked our folks in a while, like the people that have come on the pod, but I've have it written down. It's like, this is the question I should ask everybody before they leave. And then we'll send it to Jay for rapid fire, and then we'll get you out of here. If you had to pick a sport to be a minor league athlete in, what is it?
A sport to be a minor league athlete.
Could be golf,
baseball, no way.
Baseball, football, he did it.
Baseball, no. Football, no. Hockey, no. I mean, maybe basketball.
It's a tough question.
Soccer, I don't know.
I think
golf is tough enough because you're paying for your travel, you're paying for everything, and that's a lot of pressure.
How about you, Jay? What are you playing if you had to play minor league?
I'm doing minor league hockey and getting into fist fights every day.
Okay, yeah.
Biz nasty, yeah.
Half off beers, yeah, like half off beers, and you're playing at like Hershey, PA, big game in Hershey, like
Danbury Trashers, yeah.
And all the fans there are just crazy hockey fans.
Crazy,
yeah.
Jay, lay some of these quick hitters on this man. Put this guy on the hot seat. Ask him all the Big J journalism questions.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm putting my non-Big J journalism degree on the line here. Have you ever played one of Tressway's board games before?
I haven't, but he does play a lot of trivia.
Well, he has like his own like series of Colin, did you know about this? Their punter, he has like What's Your Bid and a whole bunch of really, really cool
this is my point. We're talking about punters and it has nothing to do with punting. These guys live a life. And he's good. I mean, he's good. He deserves it, right? He's one of 32 punters in the league. He's a stud. But I don't know anything about it, Justin. No.
This dude made his own board game and was like selling it. Like he made a lot of money off it. It was like a really cool board game.
My head's been in the sand.
Yeah. Yeah, look it up, man.
All right. We're going to have to try it out here. Not for long. Maybe he could sponsor us. We could, sell his board game across the country.
It looks cool. What was the first big purchase you made for yourself after your contract in DC?
I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I already had a house, already had my truck, and I've always wanted one of those big ass love sack bean bags. So I spent however much it was and got one of those things. I just, after a long day of working out, after I shower, I just jump on that thing and pass out.
That's fantastic. I always pass that store in the mall and I'm like, damn, if I could only, in another life, I'll be able to afford one. 2-year
deal, 4 point something. And then, half it goes back to Texas and the great state of Virginia, probably.
Yep.
And then you can buy yourself a beanbag, Jay.
Something to aspire to. Besides the playoff game, what's been your favorite NFL game you've ever played in?
I mean, there were some good ones last year. The second game of the season, Thursday Night Football, back against the Giants. That was a great game. Going back home to Atlanta, so my sister and my brother-in-law could be there and see that. We came back 2-minute offense to win that one. That was wild. But probably beating Brady last year. That was awesome. I mean, the 10.5-minute drive to end the game to kind of close them out. That's something that not many people can say. So I'll probably take that one.
I remember watching that tape. We played the Bucs the next week.
Oh, that's like the worst time to play them.
I said, no. That's it. Oh no, man! You guys really had a great game. That was at FedEx, right? I remember going back in my my film study here. Yeah, that was a tough day when you guys blew them out. Beat them. Yeah.
Did Brady remember you from your time up there, either in the playoff game or that game?
I don't think so. No.
How many quarterbacks think have come through? And
that's what I'm saying.
He's a memorable guy. Yeah.
He's probably seen at least 60 guys.
Maybe more. Maybe more. I mean, That's like back in the day, too. They used to have quarterback tryouts all the time. I bet they were Bills probably shuffling them. Coach Belichick, I could play for him one day. Sorry, Coach Belichick. Mr.
Like,
Coach Belichick.
Their thing in New England, too, is like they bring guys in practice squad just for 3 weeks to see what you got, get film on you, and they get you out of there. So it's like they're always rotating people in there.
It's big business, man.
Yeah. That's insane. All right, I have 2 more. If they were to make a movie about your life, kind of like what they did for Kurt Warner, who would you want to play you?
That dude that plays for Kingsman.
Oh, okay.
The English dude. I know I'm not English, but like, I think he's a good actor.
Taron Egerton?
I guess that's his name.
Taron Egerton, Gary. He plays Gary in the show.
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe Taylor Lautner. I don't know. He could probably do that.
Is that the
guy from Twilight?
He's a good He's a solid looking guy.
It's something to think about.
I guess I've just been told that I have like some kind of look resemblance to that dude. I don't see it, but I was like, you know what?
Just 2 good looking guys, man. It's hard to hide it.
I appreciate that, man.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, last one. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Ooh, that's tough. Man, I can't even.
He hears it when he leaves the bars at 2 a.m. Don't stop believing.
That along with all the women singing it, it's like stuck in your brain.
There you go, Jay. There's your big journal answer right there.
There you
Bud
go.
Light, women singing, leaving the bar. It's not a bad answer.
It's a pretty good life.
Taylor, I really appreciate you joining us, man. This will come out the week we play you guys too. So,
oh no,
yeah, it's gonna be great.
Didn't know that.
It's gonna. Oh, Justin, I like to keep the secrets here because then it leads to more drama, and that's what we got here. A big ton of drama here at the Colin Thompson Show at Not For Long Media. Taylor Heinicke, good luck to Caesar, brother. Keep grinding. I just moved to the DMV area, so we'll have to grab a beer.
Perfect, absolutely. Well, look for your locker after the game, and you might have a little something in there.
We're gonna hold them accountable to that, folks, and I can't wait to take a picture of nothing in my locker after the game, and I'm gonna beat them to it. No, I appreciate that.
All right, fellas, thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.